It's basically been 2 months since I uploaded a video where I beat Half-Life using only the crowbar. Surprisingly, it gained a lot of traction and I received numerous requests to take on the same challenge with the other games in the series. This sparked an idea. What if I finish all of the Half-Life games using just their melee weapons? Yeah, we're doing opposing force. Wrench only. Half-Life Opposing Force tops my list of the best Half-Life expansions. I've sunk countless hours into this expansion because of its unique gameplay compared to the other two. Taking on the role of Adrian Shepard gives us a fresh perspective from the military's point of view during the Resonance Cascade. You know, the enemies we faced in the first game. This expansion offers a whole new storyline, a diverse selection of weapons that some might argue are superior compared to the original Half-Life's arsenal, and introduces a new alien species called Race X, who are distinct enough in designs and attack patterns to be enjoyable to face against. In Opposing Force, the pipe wrench serves as the equivalent of the crowbar, being the first melee weapon you acquire. Whilst there's also the knife, it's basically a weaker version of the crowbar, and let's face it, there's enough knife crime in the UK right now, so I'm steering far away from that. The secondary attack has a unique wind-up animation which sets it apart from the crowbar. The longer you hold it, the more damage you inflict, making it quite handy in tough situations. Not to mention, the satisfaction of giving enemies with a single swing is truly just so damn rewarding. Similar to my previous video, this challenge comes with a set of rules to be forgiving yet fair at the same time. So here they are. No weapons picked up can be used unless it's required to progress. In-game objects such as turrets, tanks, Barneys, even Otis, or allies can be used for backup as well. Any glitches or AI bugs are allowed to be exploited to their full potential. Once again, we're going into this on hard mode. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. When I first got to Black Mesa, it hit me. I'm British.
Save the Queen!
I don't have a gun license or know how to shoot one at all. Why did I even sign up for the US Army? But before I could dwell on this unfortunate fact, I was thrusted straight into the belly of the beast. I woke up to some friendly scientists and navigated through their little hideout where...
Attention, Dr. Freeman, report to Assertive Administration Center for Questioning.
No! Oh.
Yeah, we're just gonna walk past that. After my buddy Otis opened the door for me, I stumbled upon my prized possession, the only thing I needed to get out of this horrid situation. I found a knife along the way, boosting my melee stats by +10 thanks to my British passive.
Hello, soldier, sir.
Okay, all the ways to die within the Resonance Cascade, and you picked that. Everything went smoothly as I aggroed the enemies, luring them towards me while I prepared to strike with my charged up wrench. Alternatively, I avoided combat altogether. However, right from the start, in the first chapter of this challenge, I faced my biggest hurdle. This stupid ass robot won't be able to move forward unless I deal with these box of explosives. After doing some research, I found out that it is absolutely impossible to proceed with just a wrench. Therefore, I have no option but to lay here and wait for the doom of Black Mesa. On top of that, completely abandon this video. I'm just joking, by the way. You saw the length of this video. I'm applying rule 1 into play, since using a weapon is quite literally required to progress. Luckily, the game is generous enough to give you grenades, and so I used one to block the boxes for our friend to progress and open up a passage for me. There is quite literally no workaround for this, so it must be done. Please let me see my family. With that, I found my way around the abandoned facility with ease, taking out the hound eyes and moving on to the next chapter.
Come in, Cooper. Do you copy? Forget about Freeman. We're abandoning the base. If you have any last bomb targets, mark them on the tactical map. Otherwise, get the hell out of there. Repeat, we are pulling out and commencing airstrikes. Give us targets or get below.
Oh mate, I'm sorry, I don't know how to use a gun. I mean, I've got a knife. After a cheeky tram ride, I met with Otis, who was trying to get some food. I used him to deal with the enemies in my way, since he did have a Desert Eagle.
I can't believe I got that guy.
Oh no. You're one of them. Can't we just get along? You look terrible. Hold still. This won't hurt a bit.
Oh, thanks bro. This elevator part definitely gave me a hard time. There are 3 Vortigons waiting for me, and dealing with all of them was impossible with the slow charge up time and swings of the wrench. I tried bringing Otis along for some cover fire, but he stubbornly refused to get on the elevator. After a few tries, I resorted to using the save and load exploit to reset their attacks and quickly ran through, barely surviving with just 3 HP. I did in fact manage to pick up an MP5 along the way, although I didn't really need it.
Shepard, you've made it. I take it you didn't find Freeman? Forget it, Corporal. We are pulling out. The airstrike has started. Get to the hangar while we await evac.
With this hopeful news, I politely asked my squad mate to step aside so I could access the batteries and get more shields before heading towards the evac point. Finally, I can get out of this mess and change my career path. Oh, what the fuck? I smacked a Vortigon out of rage and made my way to... The beginning of this chapter didn't really pose any problems at all. I easily defeated all the Vortigons and zombies, and even the Gnome was no match for me when I aimed for its head. However, things took a turn for the worst when a new enemy type was introduced. These annoying little twats are the absolute worst, constantly bombarding me with projectiles and rushing at me. Charging up the wrench for maximum damage took forever, with each primary attack delivering 10 points of damage, and the secondary attack ranging from 45 to over 200 points depending on the charge up time. So dealing with multiple enemies at once was a real challenge, but I managed to take them down through carefully timing my attacks and strafing past their projectiles. In all retrospect, I could have just ran past them, but hey, now I know. Yippee. The next obstacle in my path was this room right here. There's a trip mine on one side of the door and an explosive box sitting on the other. Both have to be taken care of in order to create a path for this small crate, which my 5'11" ass could use to get into the vent above. During my first attempt, I whacked the explosive box and saw a split-second delay of actually living from its damage before the trip mine exploded. This means that I had enough health and armor to tank one of the two. I positioned myself further from the trip mine and swung at the box, taking the damage of the explosive head on, allowing me to move the small crate to access the vent. You know, that looks like a very nice back massage. I picked up some battery armor along the way and then found myself meeting up with some of my fellow squad mates. Me and the boys got in the elevator, and that leads us to...
Shepard! You're a Shepard! What the hell were you doing down there?
This chapter throws a ton of late game enemies from the original Half-Life at you right off the bat. Since you're supposed to have a more powerful arsenal like the MP5, the shotgun, and the deagle at this point. But the main challenge here was trying to keep my squad mates alive, as well as trying my best not to take damage. So I was saving and loading back most combat scenarios to ensure that I got the best outcome in these fights. Since the pathfinding of these NPCs is complete and utter ass, I tried to position them at the door just before the alien grunt and Vortigaunt pop up. They basically didn't help at all, and I survived the encounter with just 25 HP. I positioned the engineer with the deagle to deal with the Vortigaunt on the desk and the other one who was wrecking the projector screen during the fight in the presentation room. I took care of the last one at the podium. It seemed like he had something to say about politics, ready to share his controversial takes about the Zen government, but we don't care about that here. I led the guys through the hole in the wall and aggroed the Vortigaunts in the corridor to have them turn the corner, efficiently putting them to pieces with a swift swing. Now that guy looks like a highly trained professional. Unfortunately, my US Army squad mates weren't taught how to climb over a desk during boot camp, so I had to leave them. This part was an absolute nightmare. With 35 HP, I have to maneuver over this rope whilst ignoring the two alien grunts because I don't even think one big swing can kill them. And even if I took one out, I'd have to face the other, which is next to impossible with hardly any cover. This took a handful of tries, to the point where I thought this was basically impossible. There was no strategy for this, I just had to do it as quickly as possible and be blessed with good behavioral patterns of these alien grunts. So after 10 whole minutes of doing the same exact jumps and dying over and over and over again, I finally made it, and almost fucking died in the process. And I'm telling you this now, if I did, I would have quit this challenge. To top it all off, I couldn't even catch a break from the achievement I just pulled off, as I had two hound eyes pay me a visit, to which I kindly told them to fuck off, with no aggression at all. I then made my way up and found a medic. I absolutely despise this guy, and you'll see why. Luckily, he could heal me, which was the only redeeming quality he had. Heading into this vent, I now have to deal with the Black Ops. After breaking the opening, they were immediately alerted of my presence, so I had them tactically move around for a bit to try and single them out. After taking out two, I was already at 25 HP, which was not a good start. I couldn't even juice more health out of the medic. Bro was dry. Taking out the Black Ops was definitely a struggle, but what really had me scratching my head was the fact that the screen kept fading to black every single time one of them lobbed a grenade. This is where I thought to myself, why the hell is this happening? Is my game bugged? Perhaps the strange triangle-based prism in the truck was destroyed. No, it's actually sillier than that. This fucking dumbass medic's flight response triggers when a grenade is tossed. Even though he's far from danger and cannot see the grenade, he runs around, eventually triggering the trip mines through this small corridor. After I realized this, I moved him as far away as I possibly could, and it surprisingly worked. Now back to taking out these guys, it was a lot of trial and error, but I took one of them out and then one of them blew themselves up with a grenade. I love Half-Life soldiers. To get rid of the trip mines, I baited the last soldier that was hiding behind the boxes, which then allowed me to successfully guide the medic to the engineer. He heals him and now we can open up the other door. And Goofy dies just a second later. The upcoming fight, once meeting more of my fellow Marines, will showcase the most agonizing 25 minutes I've ever experienced within a Half-Life game. And I'm not saying that lightly. This is essentially a stepping stone to the upcoming purgatory. Let's break it down step by step. The first arena with all the assassins was already walking into a losing game, especially with just a wrench. I died multiple times, mainly because I could not see them half the time due to their cloaking abilities on hard mode. So I died a couple of times trying to figure out the best way to deal with them. Thankfully, I had two Marines as backup. I had to ditch the medic since there was no way of getting him over the trip mines. Thanks to a series of fortunate events with the last assassin being stunned by a grenade, which one of my squad mates tossed, I survived the first fight with 4 HP to spare. After scavenging around for some health, I went into the next fight with just 14 HP, meaning that I could only tank about 2 or 3 shots before being deceased. I died multiple times trying to get through this one fight alone, so let me break it down for you. I baited the first first soldier and whacked him once he turned the corner. Wapow! Now I had to deal with the 2 assassins right around the corner. I first thought of dealing with it myself, but that didn't work. I then hatched the genius plan of using this box to get close enough without being detected, but that also failed. So then I had both of my squad mates assist me. Blindly charging in there just wasn't going to cut it. So I positioned them in a way that ensured that they wouldn't accidentally shoot each other or be easily shot. And after some trial and error, progression was made. I accidentally picked up a shotgun and fired it whilst trying to kill the assassins. And so my brain immediately told me to become a sacrificial lamb. Dealing with this part was actually hell. After many deaths, I used this box as cover and decided to pick them out one by one. That didn't work and I got so frustrated, causing this miracle to happen. Thanks to this, I immediately hid behind the stairs and picked out the rest individually. I wanted some health and armor, so I used a box to get to the last guy without him noticing me, and then whacked him. With that, I successfully cleared all of the enemies in this room. I have never felt so accomplished in my entire life.
It's ready. You must go now.
Huh?
That right there was for the boys. Making it to Zen, I stumbled upon a goofball who was tampering with teleportation. After some hopping around, I found myself back on Earth, effortlessly taking care of the pit drones and freeing this scientist to help open up a door. Whoops. I was then forced into a tight room filled with pit drones. This honestly took a while, as I was trying my best to avoid their projectiles whilst charging up my swing. Eventually, they were dealt with, having more breaking through the roof and the walls. I took care of them, whacked a couple of zombies out, and then faced my next make or break situation. This corridor has electrical currents that are unavoidable unless you shoot the electricity box at the other end. So my only solution is to run right past it, which failed miserably. The average running speed has me taking 2 hits, so after dying over and over and over, I finally made it. Oh, for fuck's sake. After finally doing it again, I made sure to quick save and ran right past the shock trooper and pit drone. The little c*** was so fast that he followed me inside. I finally managed to outpace him and shut the door on his stupid face. The rest was honestly alright. I messed about with some portals and concluded that it was best to ignore the big ass fishes since they had a lot of health. Once I saw my window of opportunity, I took it. In comparison to the other chapters, this one was honestly a breeze, as there's a lot of open spaces to maneuver around in combat. This corridor was a bit of a struggle with the Race X aliens ambushing you, but I managed to make a beeline to the window. I ignored the Voltigor and made my way to the labs, picking up stashes of health and concluding combat encounters with taking the least amount of damage that I possibly could. After executing the Hound Eyes on the Bull Squid, I took a little bath in the Zen pool to replenish the rest of my health. I then found a very suggestive looking piece of alien technology on the floor and decided to pass. I am on duty. But I was more than happy to shove my hand into a barnacle in order to traverse past this gap. Now this controversial decision depends on what you view the barnacle as. Is it a weapon or a mechanic? Regardless, it's mandatory, and I couldn't really find an exploit or separate method of getting across the collapsed platform. I wasn't using it to damage any enemies through this run, simply using it to traverse as the game intends, so I'm not breaking any rules. But to that one guy in the comments, I will apply rule 1 so he doesn't bite my ass. I simply ran past the majority of the enemies in this section only to realize that I had to backtrack. I was actually dreading going back for a while, but it actually went as smoothly as you can imagine a marine wielding a wrench against formidable aliens. Once again, I used the barnacle to get on top of this hole in the wall, which now leads me to Foxtrot Uniform is equivalent to Half-Life's surface tension, as it's packed with action sequences and incredibly memorable moments. You feel as if you're fighting your way out of this mess by any means necessary, and it's really enjoyable. But with only the pipe wrench, it's a different story. I really didn't want to play this chapter due to the spike in difficulty. For the first fight with the Black Ops, I lost half my health and armor as they continued to toss grenades and refused to turn the corner. And it didn't help with one of them being on the turret. So once again, I quick saved and loaded for the best outcome and took them out once I got the opportunity. I then sprinted over to the one on the turret and took him out once his potion of invisibility ran out. I repeated the same strategy for the next portion and crawled into this crevice on the wall, meeting up with my fellow squad mates. Here's where things got insanely difficult. I commanded the boys to follow me before completely ditching them, finding shelter in this building, and made an attempt to single out the Black Ops. One performed an unnecessary ass roll that let me easily whack him and move on. I managed to get myself caught in a brawl between the aliens and the Black Ops and waited for them to sort things out, or if one peeked around the corner to say hello to my wrench. I grabbed some health and then made my way down to the dark tunnels. My cheeks were clenched the entire time through this part. I managed to get one of the Voltigors stuck and whacked him to death before swiftly running past everything. To deal with the pit drones, I simply ignored them and thought I almost got lost in these tunnels for a second. I managed to make it out with just 48 HP and no armor on my first try, which is definitely a win for me. I'm not gonna do that again. The next fight was a struggle, but thanks to 3 Marines, a pipe wrench, and some fortunate luck after millions of deaths, I cleared the enemies. I lured out the Voltigor first, having my squad mates take care of it. I then baited out the other 2 shock troopers and used myself as bait as my bros fired American lead into their bodies. I had the medic heal me back to 100 HP and dealt with the last 2 by edging them out and whacking their eye. Now that the hard part was out of the way, I ran straight past the rest, surviving with just 10 HP, and made my way to the Gargantua after stocking up on some suit armor and health. I ran straight past him, taking some damage so that I could blow him up as soon as I could, since I didn't want his stomping attack to kill the soldiers, because when the shock troopers arrived, I completely ignored them and blew up the Garg, making my way to the next chapter. The package was fairly chill. With my incredibly low health, I used my friendly Marines to take out the Black Ops soldiers at the beginning of the chapter and ran straight past the one on the turret. With my quick thinking, I evaded the other 2 and went completely undetected before they finished their scripted running animations. I didn't know how the hell I fell into this trap, but I was so desperate for some health. I managed to get out through some embarrassing strafing. I gibbed all the Black Ops on my way to the artillery artillery gun and started using it, which was a nightmare in itself to control. Fortunately, I didn't take any damage as I was spamming the artillery on anything that spawned and blew up an opening for me to get through. Escaping this chopper whilst it was trying to gun me down was a bit of a hassle, but I eventually found a way to get through it as quickly as possible, hiding behind the vent until its traveling pattern changed so that it wasn't facing me. This means that it could not attack me at all. I ran past all the enemies and hopped into the vent, as there was no way that I was going to clear everything in the car park with the slow charging times of the wrench and the abundance of enemies. Hopping down the vents, I took out the two soldiers by circling around this box whilst I was charging up the wrench. Officer Goofy here would not let me through unless I cleared the Black Ops and disarmed the bomb. So with 5 HP, I went into that task. At first, I decided to kill the soldier on the ground, then tried to quickly whack the one at the top of the truck, but this just wasn't working. There was no way I could get close to him without at least taking a hit. So then I switched up my plans, whacking the one at the top, disarming the bomb, and then circling around the one on the ground until he eventually had his entire existence blip from my wrench, preventing the nuke on Black Mesa. Let's go, I've saved the day. Oh, what the hell, man. With 15 HP, 10 armor, a can of Monster, and a dream, I went into the final chapter of Half-Life Opposing Force. And right off the bat, the first combat encounter to this level was a nightmare. After dying countless times, I was genuinely considering reloading a previous save and trying to start the level off with more health, but my sheer willpower as an American soldier had me itching for a challenge. That and probably the in my system. I am tweaking. Yeah, getting through this was quite literally luck. A 1 in a million chance in all honesty. And the more damage I took trying to progress without any health nearby, the more dire the situation became. To where I was at 3 HP at one point. This Black Ops also scared the living shit out of me as I was so locked in at this point. I eventually made it past and got to the last firefight of the game, which once again was pure luck. I sat above the containers and this bit of metal for a bit, hoping that the aliens and soldiers would just duke it out so I could run past them. But this didn't prove to be the case. I couldn't stick the landing of where I needed to go with the health I had. So I used the boxes to get down, but every time I did this Voltigor would trap me in and finish me off. Through a godly amount of luck, it was focused on another soldier that ran past us, which gave me a window of opportunity to quickly sprint past everything and close this door behind me. Finally, I could get my health back and go straight into this final boss. This was it, just me, my pipe wrench, and this massive creature. And holy shit, that is a big ass creature. And this is where the biggest problem in the challenge came up. I can officially confirm, as of now, it is impossible to kill the final boss of this game with just a pipe wrench. I did quite a bit of research and found a speedrun of this challenge, and even they had to use weapons to damage it. Why is this the case, you may ask? The boss has a barrier that prevents the player from actually meleeing it and heavily damages them in the process, so attacking it with the pipe wrench is out of the question. Thankfully, I can take rule 1 of this challenge into play, with its secret passive also granting me the ability to finally attain a gun license. And so, for all my fallen brothers in arms, let's f***ing go. Now, I can't lie, I thought I could solo this guy in one go, but he was actually beating my ass every try. Once taking out his eyes using the turrets, I emptied a mag of the first weapon I could find in my arsenal into his little pink hole. What? Why the fuck did I just say that out loud? Using the barnacle to traverse forward and back. On my last attempt, I did have to head back and grab some health within the Zen pool, trying not to get hit by the shock troopers who spawn in, and finally managed to land the killing blow on the boss. After everything me and the pipe wrench had been through, it was finally time. I aimed right at the beast's head, tossing it at magnitudes of superior speed and agility. What the fuck am I saying? It soared through the air, spinning, It soared through the air, spinning, cracking the dome of the beast before everything exploded like a Michael Bay movie. God, I actually wish that happened. Because of my excellent skills as a soldier who single-handedly survived the resonance cascade with just the pipe wrench, I was recognized for my efforts by the G-Man himself.
So, Corporal Shepard, we meet at last. You heard, Prince. You have no bitches, little bro.
With that, I was contained, forever drifting through space and time with nobody to tell of my accomplishment. So that concludes the legendary question. Can you beat Half-Life Opposing Force using only the pipe wrench? Yes. Kinda. Aside from the grenade toss in the beginning and the final boss, you can basically complete 99% of this game with just the wrench. As you saw, it was honestly a lot more challenging compared to the Half-Life video by a landslide, as that game slowly amps up the difficulty of enemies with every level. In comparison, Opposing Force throws you into the deep end right off the bat. I had to take multiple breaks during my playthrough due to how stressful this challenge actually was. Yeah, it was actual pain. So what's the moral of this story? Adrian Shepard survived the Black Mesa incident with just a pipe wrench, which adds on to the list of things he's a Sigma male for. But now I leave a question to you. Yes, you watching this if you made it to the end, because everybody's attention spans are fucked at this point. Should I go straight to Half-Life 2 with only the crowbar, or hop on Blue Shift next? Please comment down below or click on this poll that should hopefully pop up. I'd love to know what you'd like to see next. The growth of this channel this year has been incredible, and I'm grateful to provide you guys with entertainment. So I thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.